Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the DT200. I apologize for the delay, but just a lot of things going on, so inevitably things just fall behind a little bit. Anyway, let me just quickly go through the unboxing so you guys can see. The box is the usual kind of affair that Audiosense has gotten us used to. A sleeve. Inside the sleeve we then have an open up case. Tweezers with some replacement filters. The actual IEMs came over there. A box full of tips. I mean, there's all sizes of tips possible and imaginable, so there's no problems there in terms of what you can fit or cannot fit, or will it work, won't it work. In terms of accessories, if there's one thing that I have to say for Audiosense, is they do their homework and they surely and definitely provide us with what we need. Anyway, that's the box with some of the accessories. It brings this case, which is honestly probably one of the nicest carrying cases. It might be huge, fair enough, but one thing's for sure, you know for sure that if these things fall in water they won't drown, and it's got plenty of space to put whatever cables you want to use with the IEM. And again, sorry, actually I picked up the wrong one, but it's exactly the same. It's actually this one here, and it's actually also brought a MMMCX removal tool. So like I said, in terms of cases, Audiosense has got us covered. Basically the DT200, the 300 and the 600 always bring the same case. The one that brings us a different case, but equally as good in terms of, I mean, that's plush and that's nice. It's kind of, it's so cozy, I just want to crawl up in there and actually sleep. That's how nice it is the DT100, which then kind of basically presents, well, gives you a preview of what I'll be comparing the DT200 with. So the DT100, its younger brother, single BA, DT200 dual BA, DT300 3 BAs, and DT600 6 BAs. As for the DT200, let me just quickly pick it up here. Because it belongs to, let's say, an earlier series or earlier range of the DT models, the shell is slightly different to its other brothers. It's still a resin shell. It's a little bit smaller than the other shells, but still has a very good quality resin, 3D printed. It's still a very good quality 3D printed affair. Fit is perfect. It's got hardly any weight, so it's unfatiguing. Isolation is perfect once it's in ears. Like I said, I had absolutely no problems with fitting. It is really good, period. It is really good. In terms of the BAs that are being used in here, on the 100 it was a custom single DD, a Knowles as the basis, but it was custom. On the DT300 they used a 30095, a 29689, and a 22955. So let's say run of the mill Knowles. On the DT600 they used basically the kind of the same BAs but all in dual, but you could say it was basically the same thing. And again here, these are some custom made BAs by Audiosense. I'm just gonna zoom in here so you can see a detail. I mean, since, let me just try and just get one. Okay, there we go. That round thing that you see there, that's a capacitor. Okay. Inside you got the two BAs, which are not very big. I mean, I'm assuming that one will be a bass mid and the other one will be a mid high, but they're not very big BAs. They're not very big. The shell is it's not transparent. It's kind of you can see inside of it, but it's got some opaqueness to it. That's it. Let me just throttle back here. There we go. And that's basically it. But in terms of the overall quality, definitely it's on par with its other brothers. The look of it is very much along the lines of the T800, which was the previous top of the range, let's put it that way, all BA set. It's an 8 BA set, which by the way I'm actually also receiving it soon and will also be reviewing it. I know there's been plenty of reviews done on it. It's been talked about, but I thought to myself, well, since I've already got 4 of them, might as well have the 5 BA sets. I'm not going to get the other T180 and T240, I believe, or T3 and T300 as well. I'm not going to get those, but at least I will have all the let's say the DT series, and I'll have the T800, which is kind of an iconic all BA set from Audiosense. In the cable I'm using is a XI-NHS cable. It's a cable very similar to the Fahil Hibiscus cable. It's all copper OFC cable, 4-core, nice, really nice quality. And the tips, I'm using the standard tips, so there was no need for huge tip rolling or anything of the sort. Again, that was the case along the other models. In terms of the sound quality, I just wanted to kind of give before I actually talk mostly on the DT200, I just want to give a quick overview of the other models. If you recall, when I reviewed the DT100, the thing that surprised me about the DT100, so this model here, was how a single BA could sound this good. In terms of how smooth it was, how un-BA sound it had, and because the bass was just plentiful, both in quantity and in quality. And then everything, the tonality, it was really a very big surprise for me. I even mentioned at the time that my first experience with all BA sets had been a TRN, a BA5, and that had been a huge disappointment. And that was mainly the reason why I had stayed away from BA sets and kept myself mainly to single DDs, which are my preference, and then hybrids. And if I had listened to something like this as my first experience, then probably I would have given BA sets another look earlier on. And the reality is the DT100 actually changed my outlook on BA sets, and I now own quite a few, as you can see from Audiosense. I've also got some GS Audio, I've also got a C Audio Bravery, so I've got a number of all BA sets. So as I was saying, the bass on the DT100 is very good. It's what's really grabbed my attention from the first listen. It has a very smooth tonality. The mids are good, but probably the males are the better ones here, because then the highs, well, something has to fall behind, and the highs, because they fall behind slightly, then the female voices lose sometimes that little extra sparkle that's needed. But like I said, although the highs are not its forte, they are smooth. They are the quality. What is there is of quality. Where does the DT100 have its biggest flaws? It's in terms of its technicalities. So soundstage, imaging, detail retrieval, all of those things are not the best. And also another flaw that it perhaps has is that I think that at $110 it enters a price range where there's so many things available that it just makes it a little bit uncompetitive. And we must never forget, it's just a single BA. Yes, it does have excellent quality in terms of its build and so on and so forth, but that's its biggest flaws. Then DT300. The DT300, again, in terms of build quality, fit, all of that, excellent. Nothing to be frowned upon there. The implementation of the 3 BAs that are being used there it's perfect. And although initially when I graphed it, I was kind of okay, and a fellow reviewer also had the same reaction. Once I actually listened to it, it proved what many times I've said before in the past, that graph is not everything. Just because it graphs in a way doesn't mean it's going to sound like garbage, and vice versa. Sometimes things look amazing in terms of graph wise, and then they sound horrible, and then in this case it's the exact opposite. You look at it at the graph and you think yourself, oh my god, this is going to be an absolute disaster, and then it sounds pretty good. Mind you, having said that, with the 30 ohm impedance adapter, which is what I'm using here, it's what really makes this come alive. It's got a harmonish type of a sound signature. Sub bass is its main focus. It's got good mid bass, well executed. The timbre is there. The texture is there. It's fast. It's clean. So bass on here and sub bass is excellent. Mids are non-sibilant. The voices are very good in terms of male and female. although sometimes they could be slightly cold. You could get a sense of that BA coldness that some people talk about when they mentioning a BA and the BA sound. The highs, they are again like on the DT100, but superior to the DT200. They are the least impressive of the bunch. So bass and sub bass and bass is the start of the show, mid slightly behind that, and then the highs behind the previous two. But whatever is there in terms of highs, it's good. It's good quality. It just needs a little bit more, and that little bit that's lacking is then again manifested in terms of its technicalities. Yes, the technicalities are superior to the DT100, but it's still not. They're not the best technicalities. You have a wide soundstage, but it's not deep. The imaging is good. The micro details are good. And I guess at $170 to $190, depending on where you get it from, you could say it's acceptable, but you kind of expect a little bit more. Mind you, I'm being a little bit harsh. I'm being a little bit nitpicky now at the moment. Then the DT600, which for me is one of my favorite IEMs of all the IEMs I own. It stands up there with the 7 Hz Timeless. It stands up there with my EJ07M. It stands up there with my Tanstrom Oxygen, which is probably still my favorite IEM of all. And again, same thing applies. Build quality across any of these IEMs. Audiosense gets top marks. Build, accessories, fit, isolation, that's never an issue here. It's well, the other things are just details in terms of not really issues, it's characteristics. Again, it wasn't an IEM that in terms of graph wise it impressed me, but once you actually put the impedance adapter, and this time I used the 80 ohm instead of the 30, although with the 30 the results also almost the same. That slight darkness that you might have or might perceive when you first listen to it, and that emphasis on the mid bass, let's put it that way, all that goes away, and the whole sound just opens up. It's got a harmonish V-ish kind of a signature with the impedance adapter. The sub bass on here is tremendous, and at the same time effortless. The vocals are for me are stunning, super detailed, no sibilance. It's just really something else. Ultimately, if I'm gonna nitpick on anything, it's again some coldness here and there on some songs, but nothing that really is going to be a deal breaker. Technicalities, they are again an improvement over the DT300 in terms of soundstage. It's slightly is as wide, if not wider, but then here we get a bit more depth. Imaging is spot on. There's nothing to be said there, and detailed retrieval on the DT600 for me is tremendous as well. So each one has improved in big steps over the previous one. So where does the DT200 sit among such illustrious brotherhood or siblings, or however you want to call it? Well, it's probably the smoothest and easiest one to listen to of all of them. I think that's if this year impressed me, as I was saying, because the bass just like, wow, this is a single BA, okay. If this impressed me because everything was just so big in terms of how it presented itself, it just didn't sound like a BA set. Timbre, everything was. And if this one impressed me again because the bass, the sub bass was like, wow, and the detailed retrieval were the two things that perhaps jumped out at me first. The thing that jumped out at me first when I listened to the DT200 was how smooth it is. It is smooth. I mean, this is butter smooth in everything. Bass, there's no sub bass. Yeah, let's be honest about it. Or none to be sufficient to be mentioned. Okay, what is there, the little bit that is there is, however, very good quality. Now the mid bass, that's a different story. It's fast, it's clean, it's really it's good. It is really good. There's nothing that can be really mid bass is perfect. Texture perfect. The vocals, well, the mids, let's put it that way. This is where this thing shines, and I'm gonna go as far as to say that probably these are the best in terms of mids out of all of these, and probably one of the best IMs that I have in terms of mid reproduction, period. The mids are so good. Male vocals and female vocals are, oh, I mean, it's heaven. It's really that good. And it makes for a very easy listen. Like I was saying, it's this smoothness, this fatigue-free characteristic that the DT200, I think it owes it to the mids. There's no sibilance. Sibilance, what is that? That it doesn't exist. That sibilance is non-existent. It is just very good. Instruments, everything. It's just honestly tremendous. Mids on the DT200 or something else. Highs. The highs are good. They're very smooth, so the quality is there. But because they lack a certain amount of extension, they hinder the detail retrieval capabilities of the DT200. That's where I think the DT200 has its biggest flaw. You know, the soundstage, it's wide. The imaging is good, so I would say that soundstage and imaging are on the level of the DT300. The vocals are, you know, superior to the DT300. The bass, no, but the detail retrieval, it falls behind the DT300 because, well, and obviously behind the DT600, because it's just, they just lack more extension to give it more air. But that aside, DT200, I mean, seriously, smoothness of sound is excellent. Timbre, tonality, excellent. Actually, if there's one characteristic as well that I wanted to point out across the range of all of the DT series, is timbre and tonality are very un-BA like. I mean, some of you might even recall, I even said that I consider the DT600 to be, in terms of its technicalities and timbre, on the level of the oxygen, which for me is the reference. And I kind of want to almost say the same thing for, well, I will say the same thing for the DT200 in terms of the mids and the timbre and the tonality. It is undeniably its biggest and best quality, and a quality that, like I mentioned, is better than any of these. Obviously much better than the DT100, slightly better than the DT300, and just inches out the DT600, but it's the one that has the best. And in comparison with the other all-BA sets that I have, it again is superior to the Bravery, for example. Definitely superior to the Bravery. No comparison to the X7 from TRN. I know the X7 hasn't gotten much love from most people, most reviewers. I personally don't dislike the X7. I'll be honest, I don't. I think it's an IM that its only flaw is that it rolls off too early. But yeah, that's basically it. So DT200, another excellent choice from Audiosense. In terms of who would perhaps be the person or the people most that would benefit the most from this, it's those of us that really like listening to a lot of vocal centric stuff. You know, if you want to listen to EDM and that kind of stuff, I mean, no, this is it's not its forte. It's not that versatile to that point. I would almost dare say that the DT100 will actually be better with those more, let's say, energetic styles of music. So you kind of have, you know, this as an entry-level introduction to a single BA with very good characteristics. I think the 100 is the perfect choice. If you're looking for something more vocal centric, and then definitely this one. If you want something which is more overall capable in everything, the DT300. You know, and the price difference here is minimal. I mean, we're talking 150, 170, 180, so they're very kind of evenly matched there. And then if you want just the best of the best, then DT600, it does everything well. Everything, period. There's a reason why it's one of my favorite IEMs. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed my take here on the DT200. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And yeah, look forward to some more reviews in the coming days. All right, you take care. Bye-bye. Thank you.